Guys, I can't believe it. After 23 years, the NBA on NBC is back and they debuted, and it did not disappoint. It was just a doubleheader of pure bliss, and I want to talk about it all today. I want to talk about the NBA on NBC broadcast, and I also want to talk about the first two games, Thunder versus Rockets, then we have Lakers versus Warriors. First up, I want to talk about the overall NBA on NBC broadcast, and I think that they did a really great job. I want to direct my attention to Maria Taylor, Carmelo Anthony, Vince Carter, and Tracy McGrady. First off, they did the pregame, they did the halftime show, and I think that they did a really great job. I know a lot of people were talking about why Carmelo Anthony wore a suit, but think about this. When was the last time you saw Carmelo Anthony wear a suit? It might be the NBA draft. It might be his draft day. I can't remember the last time he's worn a suit. Whatever. Now, I think a big thing overall for this group is that they're going to build chemistry over time. But the most important thing to me from these guys is that they sounded like they wanted to be there. And for those of us that have seen, the ESPN and the NBA on TNT shows, sometimes the guys do not sound like they actually want to be at the game that they're talking about, the game that they're broadcasting. I do also think that this was really important that for at least this game, they're actually at the site of the game that they're broadcasting. I don't know if that's going to continue to happen because of the travel. And also, I know that Maria Taylor also does Sunday Night Football with NBC as well. So maybe, I don't know if that travel schedule will get hectic or not. But the fact that these four were talking about the game in not an inflammatory way was just like the biggest deal to me, honestly, going for it. For Mike Tirico, Jamal Crawford, and Reggie Miller, first of all, this was the first time we've heard Mike Tirico call the NBA since 2016. That didn't quite register to me that we hadn't heard Mike Tirico do NBA basketball in 9 years. And he absolutely knocked it out of the park, and we're going to get to the game later on in this video, but I forgot how good he was at this NBA thing. And while, he doesn't always have the over-the-top energy like a Kevin Harlan does or an Eric Collins does, he knows how to rise to the occasion and rise to the moment. And he just gives off the aura of someone that's seen everything, but at the same time, stuff can surprise him. Now, the pairing of Jamal Crawford and Reggie Miller, I was most concerned about Reggie Miller's commentary. And I think that Reggie Miller's commentary, here's what I'll say. I think that it's like making a tea. It's like making tea. Reggie Miller, sometimes I think his commentary is when you steep the tea bag in for too long. But I feel like Jamal Crawford did a perfect job of diluting it and kind of giving Reggie Miller someone else to bounce off of. But with Jamal Crawford there, I think he was really able to balance out the broadcast. And I think he did I think everybody here really did a good job. And Mike Tirico, building chemistry with Mike Tirico really isn't that hard to do. And I think that the broadcast did a great job on their debut. Now, I'm going to be honest, I was the most nervous for the Michael Jordan segment only because the last time I heard Michael Jordan speak was The Last Dance, basically, in terms of like a public media interview setting. That was the last time I heard him speak. And in that documentary, he was like, and I took it personally. And he was really trying. I felt like in that documentary, he was really trying to like just set the record straight on a whole bunch of other things. And I was afraid that would be this. And this first segment doesn't come off as that. And he talks about how he wanted to pay it forward in the like halftime whatever. So I was like, okay, cool. And then after that segment, they were like, next time Michael Jordan's gonna talk about load management. And I was like, oh no. Because I feel like the thing that I was worried about, not worried about, but the thing that I was thinking about with Michael Jordan was like, what if Michael Jordan, if this is where like the old head negative commentary comes from in these broadcasts? That's what I was thinking. I thought that we've built these teams. The Prime team and the NBA on NBC team has been doing a great job of being excited for the game that they're broadcasting and talking about. And I was wondering if Michael Jordan was going to bring that traditional old head energy, being like, back in my day, these guys, like, so the load management thing, I have no idea what he's going to say. I feel that there might be some basketball old head mentality that seeps through that segment, but really encouraging first segment here from Michael Jordan. And just getting to see him talk was cool, because I feel like he's one of the GOATs that we don't really see around in terms of just being in the public eye. All right, so more notes that I had for NBA and NBC is that I'm glad that they showed the entire trophy presentation. And I like how they had the player introductions, because they cheered Steven Adams and booed Kevin Durant. I know that sometimes last year we were complaining as a society that we weren't being able to see like important player introductions. I know that ESPN did it on like special occasions, like when Luka returned to Dallas for the first time. But being able to see the banner go up was awesome. And now for my game notes. First off, Amen Thompson, who I ended up feeling really bad for after this game, because I think that Amen Thompson was given a really big ask for this first game. First game, Amen Thompson is asked to basically be not an experimental point guard, because he played point guard at OTE and he's going back to his like regular position, I would say. But his first regular season test is against the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are one of the best defenses in the entire league, and they just never let up. So Amen Thompson had to have the offensive task of what I'm going to call it being the party starter on offense, where it's like, okay, get us going in terms of like, hey, either get us into the play we're trying to call or be able to create stuff for yourself. The great news is that Amen Thompson was able to get to the basket. They're able to get into the lane, deep penetration, whatnot. But the thing is that the Oklahoma City Thunder were like basically just walling him off, right? As soon as anyone drove into the lane for the Houston Rockets, the Thunder had 5 people in the lane, and it was kind of wild to see. So I think here's a good example where the Thunder aren't really worried about Amen Thompson's jump shot. But again, Amen Thompson can just get by anybody with his sheer athleticism. But then if you pause it right here, you see that like the Oklahoma City Thunder are not worried about anybody else on the perimeter right now. They're not worried about Jabari Smith Jr. They're not worried about Tari Eason. They're not worried about Josh Okogie. And I fear that in the long term, it's gonna affect Amen Thompson's like finishing numbers, I think, because but the thing is also is that there are not many teams in the league that can defend like this. And the Thunder are one of the few teams that are equipped to do it. You have the rim protection in Chet Holmgren. This is one of the best defensive teams in the league. So it's really hard to be like, yeah, Amen Thompson struggled when he drove in the lane, but everybody does. It's the Thunder. I think the concerning thing is that I feel like Houston's going to see coverages like this all year. They're going to see coverages like this all year, especially when Durant's not on the floor. There was nobody on the Houston Rockets that really strikes fear. I feel like every shot here you would rather deal with than an Amen Thompson shot at the rim. Now here on this play, you have Kevin Durant down here, and then you have Şengün down here. And even though iHeart helps off of Şengün, it's a little bit more relief, and Amen showed like the real good ability to like hit these floaters, which is awesome. And he's going to be going to that a lot this year, I think. But the Houston Rockets did not make things easy for themselves. And again, this was already a heavy isolation offense last year with Van Vliet and Jalen Green. And I saw a lot of just standing around this time around. And it feels like this team doesn't have enough confident ball handlers Well, and especially for the Oklahoma City Thunder, like there were times where like Caruso and Dort and Wallace and SGA were just able to like make it hard for them to get into their like play initiations or their play sets. And again, it is the Oklahoma City Thunder, so that happens for a lot of teams. But it was interesting seeing a lot of players like really have to like step into this ball handling role that Fred VanVleet would take care of most of that workload last year. But what I find the most interesting is how the Oklahoma City Thunder dealt with Durant. And Durant is one of the best bailout buckets ever. And when I say that, I mean, like, if the play is bad, just give it to Kevin Durant and he's going to be able to get the shot that he wants because he can just do that whenever. And it just goes to show. It just goes to show that the Houston Rockets picking up Kevin Durant is so important, because the Rockets had a bunch of points in this game where they just looked stagnant on offense, and then they just give it to Kevin Durant and he's just going to take care of it. And look at the attention that is here for Kevin Durant. Like, nobody, Chet, this is early in the game, so this is before Şengün really caught fire. All 5 Thunder players are actively not worried about who they're guarding. And I was just watching this during the course of the game, just being like, dang. Like, and this is an easy shot for Kevin Durant because it's Kevin Durant, right? But it was wild just watching the entire course of the game, being like, I don't think the Thunder care about anybody else on the team right now. Once again, another post up, and they've made it clear. The Thunder have made it clear that they are doubling Kevin Durant. Chet Holmgren does not care about Amen Thompson on the perimeter here. It's so, this offense is so interesting because, like, all 5 Thunder players are in the paint. All 5 Thunder players are in the paint, but you know what's wild to me is that I'm still taking that Kevin Durant shot over Tari Eason 3 here. You know, that's just the crazy part of it. You know, I think that this Rockets team wants to get better shots or healthier shots, but just in case that this happens, they do have the break glass in Kevin Durant. Another thing to take note of is that Amen Thompson went 0 for 7 from 3 this game, and while the shots didn't fall, I do commend him for having the confidence to, you know, shoot them and work on them, because I think that he doesn't have to be like an above average 3-point shooter, but at least if teams are like, oh, we can't leave him completely wide open, I think that that's going to be a win for the Rockets this season. But yeah, the Thunder this game are completely not worried about the jump shot in any case whatsoever. He did hit a really long 2 that could have been a 3, but his foot was on the line. But again, I think that these shots will definitely fall over the course of the season, and it's a 1-game sample size, so I'm not really gonna take much into this. But as you can see here, the Thunder were clearly way more worried about Kevin Durant for the entire game. Now, my favorite part of the game was the Thunder just being like, we're not letting Kevin Durant beat us today. As they leave, this is how good Kevin Durant is, right? The Thunder are choosing to leave all-star Alfred Şengün just open, right? So Kevin Durant sees this with ease, and that's like an easy bucket. And yeah, it was very interesting to see that, because it was just like, okay, yeah, that's how much of a threat Kevin Durant is, and that's how much he like changes even the Houston half-court offense. Now, their transition offense was, they only had 2 fast break points, which I don't know what to think of that, because it's weird to see like a player as fast as Amen Thompson, and then they weren't able to get out like really fast in transition. But that just goes to show, once again, how good the Thunder are on defense. So that won't even hold that against them. But overall, great game. Had so much fun watching this. You know, you can see that there's like rust here, but when you combine like starting rustiness versus just how good these teams are defensively, like they were some real good matchups here. Then Houston went zone for a little bit, and I gotta give it to Amen Thompson, because he was in charge of starting the party. But then he was also in charge of guarding SGA. Now, I think Amen Thompson may have cramped up at the end. So maybe, this might have been too much of a workload. He's been asked to fill the starting point guard role, right? Against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then on the flip side, he has to guard the reigning MVP. The fact that he's a player that even like the coaching staff is like, yeah, you could do that, right? The fact that he's even that talented that he can do that is so special to behold. But I wonder how the Houston Rockets go forward with that in terms of like how much Amen Thompson is going to be in charge of being on the ball and dribbling the ball and initiating, while also guarding the other team's number one option. I don't know many players. I can't even think of many players. Maybe you guys can think of this when you comment. Many players that do that are in charge of like starting the party on offense and then also guarding the other team's number one option. I'm having a hard time thinking of players that do that. But overall, very fun first game between the Thunder and the Rockets. And then we got treated to Lakers Warriors. And I didn't watch the first quarter of Lakers versus Warriors, but all that I know is that I went to the box score and it told me that Gabe Vincent started the game. And I was really puzzled by that. I was not expecting to see that. Like, I know LeBron is out, so of course I'm expecting something different. I was not expecting to see the starting lineup today. I just wasn't. And then it started to hit me. I'm like, is this the best the Lakers roster can offer? And I know that LeBron's versatility often covers the Lakers' weak spots in the roster, because LeBron's versatility on offense specifically also allows them to be able to theoretically cover the Lakers' weaknesses or whatnot. And I saw JJ Redick talking to Tim Legler on Coach's Corner, talking about how last season the Lakers didn't have a rim protector, so they had to really get creative on defense. This season, do they have that rim protector? I'm not going to say that they do, but I think the jury is still out. I saw a lot of Lakers fans getting mad at DeAndre Ayton already, and I gotta say that if you guys want anything out of DeAndre Ayton, you are going to have to be patient. You're not gonna. I can't expect you guys can't expect this to work immediately, right? Luka sat out a couple of games in preseason. This is a whole thing. Also, I think this Lakers roster just has too many weaknesses that one player is not going to be able to solve. And that's including when LeBron gets back. Like, when LeBron was here last year, the Lakers still had issues. That didn't have a rim protector, right? During the playoffs, there were mad stamina issues last year. And I think Luka's going to be in good shape, but if this roster without LeBron is just going to ask Luka, be like, hey, you're going to have to score like 40, 43 a game for us to be competitive, I don't like where that heads. I know that Austin Reeves didn't have his best game. I know that Hachimura didn't have his best game, but I think that this Lakers team has too many one-dimensional players. Either you have scorers that can't defend or defenders that can't score. But I think that I honestly don't blame JJ Redick for being experimental here, because this is the type of roster that has been created where like the head coach is going to have to get creative to get the best. Like, I don't think that there's a clear cut, especially with LeBron out. I don't think there's a clear cut like, oh yeah, play these guys and be fine. I think that there's a whole bunch of just like trial and error that's going to happen until LeBron gets back. And I don't know, man, it's going to be very interesting, dude. On the Warriors side, I do want to state once again, I'm telling you guys, when we talk about the best foul drawers in the game, people call them foul merchants or foul baiters. You cannot forget about Jimmy Butler. This man had 16 free throws today. We always talk about Shea. We always talk about Trey. We always talk about Jalen Brunson. Jimmy Butler goes under the radar for drawing so many fouls. And I feel like whenever I mention that, people go like, oh, he's not like Shea. He's not like Trey. Yes, He is, and he touches the ball a lot less. So I noticed it a lot more. But also good on Jonathan Kuminga, who like didn't have a bad game. And honestly, I didn't know what I was expecting after about a month and a half of Jonathan Kuminga talks, and it got to the point where it was like, guys, just sign him already, man. Like, no one else is competing. Or he was in talks about going to Sacramento or whatnot. I think Jonathan Kuminga he had a good game, and it was cool seeing him play within the flow of the offense, and he's going to be really important to this Warriors team, which, didn't start a player over 6'7" today, right? Like, they played Al Horford off the bench. That's going to be like an important thing. But there was a time where the Warriors almost gave up the lead, and then Steve Kerr immediately benched Al Horford, and then the Warriors took care of business. But I don't know, man. I think that if Jonathan Kuminga is able to buy in, because I feel like this Warriors offense will be able to make things easy for him, like that back cut right there. I think that this Warriors offense, the cool thing about it is that this Warriors offense can make buckets easy for you, even though it revolves around Curry, because Curry will give you at least a free layup every game, right? But it's just a matter of buying in, and I think that is gonna be fun if he buys in, and I think that's it. But yeah. But overall, really great showing from NBA on NBC today, and I'm just really happy that we're in a place to where the people that are on the broadcast appear to be excited to be there, right? And it matters to me because, I grew up watching the NBA on NBC. I didn't have cable, so I used to VHS. I used to VCR record certain games, and one of the last games was like the Lakers-Kings series, and then the Lakers-Nets finals, right? And then the next year it goes to NBA on ABC, and then it doesn't turn back for about 20 years. Having the NBA on NBC back, the presentation, it just felt different. And I'm not trying to be a nostalgia, someone that's caught up in the nostalgia of it all. But I hope that a lot of you who may have not remembered the NBA on NBC understand why so many of us that did watch the NBA on NBC growing up are excited that it's back, right? Because the NBA on NBC back then, at the very least, you would hear the monologues, and it made every game sound interesting, sound exciting, and sound like must-see TV. And it was back then, because the NBA on NBC wasn't competing with all these cable channels back then, but that didn't mean that they cut corners. They knew that so many eyes were going to be on this game, this event, that you had to put your best foot forward. And I hope that the addition of NBA on NBC and Prime and ESPN allows for us to have this healthy coverage competition, and the only people that win are the viewers themselves. Thank you guys for watching the end of the video. Feel free to follow my Spotify feed. Feel free to support me on Patreon and on Nebula. It really helps me keep the channels going. I appreciate you guys. Love y'all.